America and Iran are at war right now. Bombs are falling. People are dying. And most people watching the news have absolutely no idea how we got here. Because this war did not start last week. It did not start with nuclear deals or sanctions or Twitter threats. It started in 1953. With oil. With a CIA agent carrying suitcases full of cash. And with a decision that broke an entire country's trust in America forever. This is the full story. From the beginning. And by the time we get to the end, you will understand exactly why two countries hate each other this deeply. Chapter 1, The Betrayal, 1953. In 1951, Iran had a democratically elected prime minister named Mohammad Mossadegh. He was popular, he was educated, and he had one very simple idea: Iran's oil should belong to Iran. At the time, Iran's entire oil industry was controlled by a British company called the Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. Britain was taking the majority of the profits. Iran was getting almost nothing from its own land. Mossadegh nationalized the oil. He said, "This oil is ours." The British were furious. They couldn't remove him alone, so they went to America for help. The CIA launched a covert operation called Operation Ajax. They bribed Iranian politicians, paid protesters to cause unrest in the streets, and ran a media disinformation campaign to turn public opinion against Mossadegh. On August 19, 1953, Mossadegh was removed from power. The Shah was reinstated. He immediately signed over 40% of Iran's oil fields to American companies. America overthrew a democracy for oil, and the Iranian people never forgot it. For ordinary Iranians, the 1953 coup became the original sin of American interference, a wound that has never healed. Chapter 2, The Revolution, 1979. For the next 26 years, the Shah ruled Iran as America's closest ally in the Middle East. But he ruled with an iron fist. His secret police, called Savak, tortured and imprisoned anyone who opposed him. The Iranian people were suffering under a dictator that America was funding, arming, and protecting. By 1979, anger had reached a breaking point. Massive nationwide protests forced the Shah to flee the country. A cleric named Ayatollah Khomeini, who had been living in exile in Paris, returned to Iran and took power. Khomeini established a hardline theocracy and labeled America the Great Satan. Then it got worse. America allowed the Shah, now dying of cancer, to enter the United States for medical treatment. Iran saw it as America protecting the man who had oppressed them for decades. In November of that year, a group of Iranian students stormed the U.S. Embassy in Tehran and captured 66 Americans. A U.S. rescue attempt codenamed Operation Eagle Claw failed disastrously, hampered by mechanical problems, a severe dust storm, and a crash that killed 8 American service members. After 444 days in captivity, the remaining 52 hostages were released on January 20, 1981, the exact day Ronald Reagan was inaugurated as president. America cut all diplomatic ties with Iran. Those ties have never been restored. Chapter 3, The Proxy War, 1980s. In 1980, Iraq, led by Saddam Hussein, invaded Iran. America sided with Iraq. They provided Saddam with weapons, intelligence, and financial support to fight Iran. Iraq used chemical weapons on Iranian soldiers. America knew. America said nothing. Then came one of the most bizarre chapters in American political history. Reagan's administration was discovered to have secretly sold weapons to Iran, the same country they publicly called a terrorist state, hoping Iran would help free American hostages held in Lebanon by Hezbollah. The money from those weapons sales was then illegally funneled to rebels in Nicaragua. America was publicly fighting Iran, privately arming them, and using the money to fund a secret war in Central America. All at the same time. That scandal became known as the Iran-Contra affair. Then, in 1988, it got even worse. A U.S. naval ship fired on Iran Air Flight 655, a civilian passenger jet, killing all 290 people on board. The U.S. military claimed it was a mistake. America paid compensation but never formally apologized. 290 innocent civilians. Gone. And no apology. Chapter 4, The Nuclear Question, 2000s. By the 2000s, Iran had begun developing a nuclear program. America and Israel said it was a weapons program. Iran said it was for civilian energy. The world held its breath. In 2015, after years of negotiations, President Barack Obama reached the Iran nuclear deal, officially called the JCPOA. Iran agreed to limit its nuclear activities in exchange for the lifting of crippling economic sanctions. It was not a perfect deal. But it was working. Then, in 2018, President Donald Trump pulled America out of the deal entirely. He reimposed sanctions. He called it the worst deal ever made. Iran began enriching uranium again, this time faster and with less restriction than before. The window that diplomacy had opened slowly began to close. Chapter 5, The Point of No Return, 2020 to now. In January 2020, Trump ordered the assassination of Iran's most powerful military commander, General Qasem Soleimani, in a drone strike at Baghdad airport. Iran called it an act of war. They launched retaliatory missile strikes on American military bases in Iraq. Dozens of American soldiers suffered traumatic brain injuries. The world came closer to a full-scale war than it had in decades. And then, 5 days ago, on February 28, 2026, it finally happened. America and Israel launched direct coordinated military strikes on Iranian soil, targeting nuclear facilities, military infrastructure, and key government officials. 70 years of tension, 70 years of coups, hostages, proxy wars, sanctions, and broken diplomacy. All of it, every chapter, every decision, every wound that was never healed, led to this moment. Here is the most important thing to understand about this conflict. Neither side woke up one morning and decided to be enemies. This hatred was built, slowly, decision by decision, betrayal by betrayal, over 7 decades. America overthrew Iran's democracy. Iran took American hostages. America armed Saddam against Iran. Iran built proxies across the Middle East to hit back at America. America killed Iran's top general. Iran accelerated its nuclear program. And now, bombs are falling. Every action had a reaction. Every reaction made the next move more likely. That is how wars actually start. Not with a single decision, but with 70 years of decisions that nobody ever truly paid for. That is why America and Iran are at war today. If this gave you a clearer picture of what is happening right now, drop a like, subscribe, and share this with someone who is confused about the news. Because understanding history is the only way to understand the present. And if you want to know why Israel is in the middle of all of this, that video is coming next.